if you're watching this video, chances are at some point in the future, you want to make $100,000 a month. And in this video, I want to talk you out of it, or at least convince you that having that goal might be ruining your life and the better way to think about growing and how to approach that. So I'm in Dubai right now, and I just had an amazing lunch with one of my good friends, William Brown. We were not down at the beach club, though judging by the noise down there, that's where the party's at. We went to a lounge and we were talking about the nuances of the online space. Now, I've been at $100,000 a month or more for the last 5 years, some months as high as $347,000 a month, so on and so forth. And he did $580,000 a month cash last month at super high profit margins. So we were able to have this really cool conversation that not many humans on the planet get to have, where you're kind of like talking about what living at above $1 million a year in profit actually looks and feels like. And both of us will say that like making more money can absolutely increase your happiness if you allow that money to buy you more freedom, right? So I'm not here to say more money, more problems, right? That's not what I'm saying. But one of the things we both recognized is we have absolutely done this in the past where we sacrifice the present for some kind of mythical future. So you convince yourself, when I get to 100K a month, life's going to be amazing, right? And so you fill your calendar with crap you don't want to do. You create offers you don't want to sell. You work with clients who you hate. But I'm going to get to 100K a month. It's all going to be worth it. And we've done that, and we've convinced ourselves at lots of different revenue points, because you get to 100K a month and you go, oh, it's not 100K a month. It's going to be 120, 150, 200. But the reality is that it is much more important figuring out the game you want to play than it is about blindly simply convincing yourself that making more money is going to increase happiness. Because this is probably where you're at right now. Here's your revenue level. Here's your happiness, right? And you convince yourself if you want more happiness, oh, it must be at the higher revenue level. And so maybe it's $100,000 a month. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's sooner. Maybe it's later. But the point is that you've probably convinced yourself that business is worth sacrificing for, because when I get to that point, it's going to be epic. And the first thing I want to tell you is that that's probably not the case. Your life is probably going to suck more at $100,000 a month if you double your revenue or triple your revenue from wherever you're at right now, if you already hate the business you have. So if you're already looking at your calendar and it sucks, you are just going to double the misery, triple the misery. So the most important point to start off with is figure out, is this a game that I want to win at? And I'm telling you right now, loving the life and business you are creating is infinitely more important than simply making more money. More money scales unhappiness as much as it does happiness. If you have the wrong business model and you already hate what you're doing, you will scale that misery. If you love what you're doing and it's structured in the right way, you will scale your happiness and fulfillment. So the first thing you have to identify is, am I creating a business that is reflective of the life that I want to live? So where I get every new client to start with is this whole idea of the ideal day. Now this sounds real basic, but I'm telling you, as someone who's made $10 million online, this is probably the single most important advice I wish someone had given me way earlier in the process. Identifying what does your ideal day look like? In other words, like, what does your ideal life look like? Because an amazing life is just made up of a lot of amazing days. And so firstly, understanding that your answer is probably different than someone else's. And this is what Will and I were getting into, right? He has a drastically different business model that allows him to make more money than me because he manages a sales team and enjoys that. He loves working with people one-to-one. And so his primary offer is selling his time. Whereas for me, I don't enjoy doing that. And so this week I have 2 calls in my calendar the whole week. Right now I'm in Dubai, I'm flying to Miami tomorrow, I'm on a flight for 16 and a half hours. I didn't have to cancel anything to get on that flight, right? I don't have tons of stuff on the calendar. So we are both winning at the games that we are setting out to play because it starts with the life that we want to live. And there is something so powerful about creating a business where you look at your calendar and you're excited, not a calendar where you want to like throw up. And I'm not saying there aren't seasons where you've got to sacrifice and maybe do some things you want to do. But the first thing I'm really trying to get you to see is this goal of like, I'm going to get to 100K a month no matter what, will ruin your life if it requires you to be someone you don't want to be and do stuff you don't want to do for a really long amount of time because you convince yourself that making more money is the sole goal, and once you get there, it's going to change your life, because it won't. The second thing is, and this is, I think, the best news, if you're watching this and maybe 100K a month feels out of reach, start by identifying what your ideal life costs and then make your target monthly income based on that. This is so elementary, but the number one challenge I see people make is they have arbitrary money goals that mean nothing to them. So if I'm working with a new client and they tell me a round number, which 99% of people do in terms of their next goal, I know it's a completely made up goal. Like there's no substance to it. It's like 50K a month, 60K a month, 80K a month, 100K a month. The nuances and the power is in you figuring out exactly how much money this next season of your life, this next level up is going to cost you in monthly income, and to focus on profit, not just on cash collected. And the best news about this for most people is when they sit down and they do the math, their ideal life over the next year, I'm not talking about the 30-year goal of I'm going to be a billionaire and have a private jet and have a yacht. Keep those in the 30-year goal. The next 6 to 12 months, what would your ideal life cost? And chances are it's a hell of a lot less than $100,000 a month. And so when you do the math, you might go, man, if I was to get to a point where I'm at $20,000 a month after tax, that would be amazing. Now, what you've done is you've created a clearly defined goal. So now, firstly, that money goal is actually going to have some emotion and drive and inspiration behind it. 100K a month, probably really hollow, which is why most people never get there, because it's just a made up goal given to you by internet marketers like me, right? So having a real goal that's fueled by emotion and inspiration is going to pull you into the future faster. But the second thing is it's probably closer to where you're at than this really far off goal that you're going to do whatever it takes to get to 100K a month, because you're going to feel amazing, right? It's not how it works. And so now you're going to feel like it's way more doable. And so now these huge hours that you've been putting into your business, this push, all of a sudden you realize it's probably pretty unnecessary, because that goal, that target monthly income, is probably closer to where you're at than this huge made up goal that you've been aspiring towards. The third thing that I think really levels this out so that you can actually win at games you care about is to disconnect from the noise of the rest of the industry. All of these internet marketers, these companies that give away awards, they've convinced us that happiness and fulfillment is on the other side of standing on the stage and shaking Russell Brunson's hand or something else. And I'm telling you, I've bought into that. Like there was a year I got 3 like different awards from these companies, right? It was like, it felt amazing for 5 seconds. And then I was like, but I'm drinking every night, I'm gaining weight, I'm managing this huge team, I feel miserable. And there was so much power in letting go of these ideas of trying to be successful in the eyes of other people and simply trying to win at the game that I wanted to play. And when you do that, you realize that like there is room in the online space for everyone to win at the game that they want to play, because everything works, right? If you love sales calls, I got good news for you. You can make a ton of money like talking to strangers all day. Maybe you hate sales calls, but you love one-to-one coaching. There's a huge business model there. Maybe you love doing the work with people. Maybe you love courses. Maybe you love low ticket, high ticket. The point is, everything works. What you need to figure out is not what the hottest, latest trend is, not what this new software platform is incentivizing with a day in Vegas or a day in New York or whatever it might be, but to really figure out not what everyone else is saying is cool, but what do you think is cool? What does your internal guidance lead you towards in terms of what's most exciting to you? I'm not here to say you shouldn't set big money goals. What I'm here to say is setting big money goals and assuming they're going to make your life better is a miserable way to live. And I'm telling you, as someone who's hit a few of those big money goals myself, it is untrue. The better way to live is to figure out what your ideal life looks like. Don't compromise on your values, your beliefs, your convictions, your family, your health, the things that matter most to you. Figure out what you're optimizing for so you can create a business that serves your life, not a life that serves your business. The second thing is figure out what is this ideal life over the next 6 to 12 months actually cost you, and then make that your target monthly income. Make it that your target monthly revenue goal. Don't just arbitrarily like inherit these goals and then wonder why you can't hit them. It's like, dude, because they're not your goals, they're someone else's. And the third thing is like, just play a game that you feel like you actually want to win. Disconnect from the noise, disconnect from the hype, disconnect from the trends, and understand everything works, dude. I know people that make money in so many hilarious ways. Everything works, but not everything will work for you. So move towards the things that light you up, inspire you, excite you, and understand that this whole game of like entrepreneurship of like, dude, it's about like this entrepreneurial Kool-Aid of like, it's supposed to feel like getting kicked in the nuts every day, or it's supposed to be brutally hard, or like getting punched in the face. It's not true. The people that believe that are the people that experience that, and they experience that because that's what they believe. But if you believe that there is an aligned, excited version of you that makes great money, you will experience that. And I'm telling you, as someone who did the kicked in the nuts thing for years, and then I was like, this is pretty miserable, I'm going to try something else. And now I love the life that I have. It's not perfect, it's not always easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot lighter than the alternative I used to live. So I'm hoping this video meets you well. I hope it makes sense enough for you to kind of ruminate over these ideas. I'm going to go get ready to go to Miami. Sending you a ton of love. Talk soon.